Okay guys, I'm back now to help you do the ghost. All I'm doing is kneading my white fondant just to kind of straighten it out a little bit. It's gone hard, so I want to make it soft. What I did was I pulled a little bit of it, put it into a ball. As you can see, it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be. This part is going to be hidden. And I've dipped the stick into a little bit of my edible glue. Now, not much, tiny bit, and you can use water as well, guys. And it's just to hold it on the stick, that's all. It's still drying, as you can see. I can still completely take it off. So you might want to leave it dry a little bit if you want to get a better result, but I'm just going to flake on anyway for the purpose of this. And literally sticking it into my styrofoam. So it's there ready and waiting. So I'm rolling this out. I think I'm getting there. So now I get my rolling pin. And I've just put a little bit of icing sugar underneath so that this doesn't stick. It shouldn't stick to this mat anyway, but just in case. Better safe than sorry. Now, I don't want the weight of this fondant to be too heavy on the little ball on the stick. So I'm going to roll it kind of thin. But then I also have to be very careful that you don't want to go too thin because you run the risk of tearing it. So I'm quite happy with that. It's about 1/8 of an inch. If I could go a bit thinner I would, but knowing that I've Tylose in there and I'm not using a pasta roller, this is about as good as we're going to get. So next thing, I'm going to show you a handy little tip with these, because what can happen is when you use your plunger this way, you can sometimes find it won't cut it fully, and then you've got to rip it and your edges are a little odd. So if you put it this way, take your fondant and put it over it. Bear with me, I know it looks a bit odd. Get your rolling pin, press and roll. Okay, and now, ta-da! I'm still going to smoothen it out with my fingers. Just get rid of all of the itty bitty edges. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a ghost, you know, and an imitation one at that. So now what I'm going to do is just stretch the edge a little bit. I don't want it to be perfect. I want it to be a bit rough at the edges. Okay. Now we're bringing the styrofoam in our little piece. Just sit it on, measure for size. Okay. Now I will glue it, but just not quite yet. And what you'll see happen is these pleats start arriving. Do you see them? We've one here, we've one here, we've one there, and we've one there. That's fine. I want a few more. That doesn't look like enough to me. So I'm going to do another one in there. And to do a pleat, all you need to do is push up with one finger and pinch. I'm going to do another one here on this side. You'll have to excuse me, guys, I'm left-handed and sometimes it gets in the way of the camera. Go on the back. I'm essentially just doing the same thing all around. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect. But I kind of like this because what we'll do is we'll do two eyes and a mouth at the front here. But I kind of like that. So I'm going to leave it like this. All I'm going to do is glue it. So just lift this off. Get my edible glue and my brush. Do a tiny little bit in there. It doesn't have to be a lot at all. I literally have just a tiny sheen, you see? And then pop it back onto place. And you can play with this as much as you want. But my advice is, if you find what you want, don't touch it again. The more you touch it, sometimes the more damage you can do. Okay. And leave that to one side to dry off, guys. What I'll do is I'll just take a little bit of my black fondant here. Not much, as you can see, tiny little amount. And I'm just going to do one round eye, second round eye, and a big round mouth. Okay. Bring back over my ghost, my brush, my edible glue. A little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit down low. Okay. There you have it, guys. There's your ghost. Now if you wanted, you could simply sit it into your cake just like this, so it looks like it's floating. You see, if the cake was to go under. You can also do the same from the cupcake, and that would mean leaving the cocktail stick in. It's up to you. I like to take them out, and once they've hardened, you see this part will just sit on your cupcake or your cake. But everyone is different. I like to use as much edible product as I can, and you can't really eat the cocktail sticks, so I just prefer to take them out. But it's completely up to you, especially if you're doing this at home with your kids. They're going to know they're in there because they're going to be helping. So there's a ghost. I'm going to replicate that a few times so that I have 12 toppers when I'm all done. So far I have 4 pumpkins and the first ghost. I want to keep going with those, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to record how to do the witch's hat.